during the winter.
Okay.
No hot water. You got to boil water out of your microwave. Yeah. Community shower, you in there pouring warm water.
So do you think that was God showing you, like, bro, you about to be in law enforcement. You don't even know it. But right now I'm showing you what these people go through, sitting in these correctional facilities, just so you can understand. Treat them with dignity and respect.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I turn that pressure into power. I turn that hate into hope. I turn that fear into faith. Hey, with my back on the ropes. I turn that pressure into power. I turn that hate into hope. I turn that fear into faith. Hey, with my back on the ropes. What you know about being down and out?
Yes, sir. Welcome to another episode of the Isle of Winter podcast, where we highlight the stories of some of the dopest dreamers in the world, man. I am your host, Fly Guy HG, and I am truly, truly honored, as always, for y'all to join me and rock out with me through this great, informative conversation, man. Today's conversation is about bridge building, man. Just making sure we build this bridge from the inner city to our law enforcement. I got my cousin here today, man. He finna rock out today, give y'all some great game on what to avoid, man, how to approach certain different situations, and just practice on being an upstanding citizen, because that's what we all strive to be. Get what I'm saying? Without further ado, man, my cousin, my family member, man, my boy, I don't know if I can call you Yoda.
Hey.
I don't know.
If they rocking out with me, they know who I am. I'm Yoda, hey. You know where I've been.
And for those who know, they know where the Yoda came from.
Yeah, I'm always in the cut.
What's good, brother?
That's good, cuz.
You coolin'?
Yes, sir.
Now, today's going to be great, man. Hey, y'all see how big this dude is? I never have security. I hired security today because he ain't finna jump across the table on me.
Nah.
So, y'all, hey, if y'all could jump through the camera and save me just in case we get a little too deep, y'all save me, man. But listen, bro, I appreciate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Taking away from your busy schedule, bro. Saving lives and protecting the community, protecting and serve, bro. It's truly an honor to have you on here to give game, man, and give a little words of wisdom and words of knowledge to the young cats today, man, to let them know, bro, that you're on their side. I feel like today's episode is super, super important because obviously you come from the communities that we all come from. You know what I'm saying? We grew up in the inner city, and there are police officers who come from these communities who truly, truly do want the best for these kids. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like today's conversation, I really want to touch on the different things that you guys are implementing within the force to make sure that these kids understand that you guys are on their side. You get what I'm saying? So for you personally, you know, what are certain things you feel like you do that that these kids know that you're on their side?
Man, it starts at when we have the little calls where the younger kid is acting out, man, after school. They don't want to go inside. They don't want to do their homework. They're not listening to their parents. So we go, you know, we just don't get caught for just one thing or the next. It'd be a variety of things that we get caught for. So in case we wear many hats, right? So one of the hats is sometimes we got to be the parent for those that call us.
Yeah.
You know, step in. Hey, why aren't you doing your homework? Why aren't you listening to your mom? Why aren't you listening to your dad? You know, we got to step in those roles sometimes. And sometimes some of us don't got kids, but it's almost like we know once we take that oath, that's what we sign up for.
Absolutely.
So that's what it is, man. It's one of those things where it's very fulfilling. It's one of those things very fulfilling. And
speaking of fulfillment, right? I want to go ahead and I guess we already started, but you know, I like to touch on something and pick brains, man. So because the thing is, as a man, right? As a man growing up in society today, no man is more unhappy than a man that doesn't face adversity, because he doesn't get a chance to prove himself. How do you feel about that? As a man growing up in today's society, how do you feel about adversity? How do you feel about the dark times and overcoming those obstacles? How do you feel about that?
Man, that's deep. Just relying on my faith, man. Being honest with you, growing up in the church hole, you know, church. Grandma forced me to go to church. Big faith believer. When it comes to a man being fulfilled, I feel like we were placed on earth to be that leader, be that go-getter for our families. So when it comes to that, it's it's almost in our genes. A lot of us stray away because we feel like, oh, okay, in the fear of failure. You know, a lot of us are afraid of failing.
Amen.
So it's tough, man. It's tough. So you got to face those battles internally. A lot of people don't see it, but it's on the inside. It's mentally. You facing those battles. You're trying to get up each and every day to overcome the next thing, you know, as a man.
For sure.
You know, and that's why you see these different posts that talk about, oh, you know, men have this challenge or that challenge, is because that's what we face. It's automatic for us.
For sure.
We don't have that silver spoon that some, you know, people may have. So it for me, it takes me to a place where I always got to keep a chip on my shoulder as far as, you know, all right, I got a little one to feed.
For sure.
I got to make sure I keep my mama proud, you know, of the man she raised. You know, the things that I do, I have to make sure I'm leading by example with my actions. You know, men aren't placed here to be leading by words. No, we're placed here to take action. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to that, man, that's what brings me fulfillment when with the question you stated to me, man. It's just fulfillment comes from that, just knowing that you conquered that task.
That task, for sure, that challenge.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, man. So, and that was well put. I think you touched on a lot of different things that I definitely want to talk about as we get into this episode. So before we jump into it, before we take this Dreamer's Toast, you know we got to take the Dreamer's Toast. It's only right. So let's go ahead and get it in, man, because one day somebody said it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one that wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hit it. He started to sing as he tackled that thing that couldn't be done. And he did it. Salute, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Salute to all the dreamers, man.
Of course.
Yes, sir. I was looking for this. All right, man. So we're gonna briefly touch on the beginning, right?
Okay.
Obviously, there's no way in hell you this size and you ain't play sports. So let's start at the beginning, man. Growing up in Miami, man. How was it? How was your upbringing? Growing up as a single child, how was that growing up?
Man, it was tough. Mom Dukes, she was one hell of a fighter, man. I watched her growing up, having few jobs. You know, she migrated here from Jamaica. You know, I seen her get from out the mud, you know, from ground zero.
Yeah.
So me picking up that and adding it to my repertoire, that's what it basically was for me growing up. Really didn't have a childhood like that. I had to be the man of the house at some time. You know what I'm saying? Due to different circumstances, of course. But, man, I wouldn't change nothing for the world, you know, because that's what made me the man I am today.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what it is for me growing up. It's just one of those things where we had to get it in by any means. You know what I'm saying? So either you getting up in the morning, and that's kind of where my discipline comes from too. You know, being on top of things, being on time with things, you know, comes from Mom Dukes.
Yeah.
I seen her do it. She ain't never get up and complain. Early in the morning, she getting up and getting out. She making sure breakfast on the table. You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff, to the death, I'm just like, yo, yeah. That's how I got to be.
I'm scared to ask you this because you're talking about my dudes never complain, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to be like a little bit of somewhere where I didn't really want to go, but I just want to go there for the sake of conversation, just so you know people can chime in as they will. You talk about growing up, obviously, with your mom doing everything that she could to make sure that y'all was good. Not only was she going out and getting it, she was making sure things were done at the crib. Obviously, with society, with the world that we live in today, dating is the way that it is.
Right.
And a lot of the expectations and responsibilities that certain people want to take on, that seems foreign to them.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm not finna do all that and do this. How do you feel about that?
Ooh. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Please don't. All right, so a lot of women nowadays look at it as more of a task than something they do from the heart.
Right.
And I think that's why they fall short with me, because I believe most boys that come from a mom that's, you know, somewhat independent, right? Right, independent. Most moms that come from something that's independent, they have this chip on their shoulder.
For sure.
You know? And man.
This chip What type of chip you feel like you have on your shoulders when you grew up with a mom that was independent or just superwoman?
No handouts. I got to go get it.
Facts.
No handouts. I got to get up, be disciplined in everything I do.
For sure.
I can't fall short.
Now, do you feel like because you were raised by superwoman, it makes you want superwoman?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I feel like it hinders me sometimes too, man.
For sure.
Because I'm looking for this, that, and the third in a woman, and she falls short.
Absolutely.
And now I'm feeling away. You know?
Yeah.
And that's where that's coming from. Like, my mom in the back of my mind, like,
it's like, bro, my mom used to do this.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so hard, bro? Why you can't figure this out?
Yes, sir.
And bro, I'm glad you said it hinders you, because I feel the same. Where it's like, in my past, I could admit that certain things I wish I would have never did. I think I was a little too tough. Where it's like, damn. And women are, bro, the thing is, sometimes I feel bad, or not bad, because sometimes I feel like, man, why do I feel like you're more powerful than you think you are? Women are amazing. I think it's a large majority of them that don't realize the power that they hold.
Yeah, they settle too often, man.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, you're way more powerful than this. But at the same time, I feel like, man, as a man, it's like, dude, let a woman be a woman.
Yeah, don't correct.
You get what I'm saying? Let a woman be a woman. And I feel like in my past, I did, and I can admit that I was a little too like, bro, what are you doing? Like, and I felt like I could have took a step back and say, you know what? Just take that burden off her shoulder. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, I think about that all the time, where it's like, I was raised by Superwoman. So, like, essentially, I kind of look for Superwoman.
Yeah.
Now, as a man raising a daughter, which we're going to talk about. Damn, we're getting into it a little too early.
Early.
But it's like, as a man raising a daughter, how do you raise your daughter to be Superwoman? Because as a man, you want to raise your daughter to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Showing your daughter what a man is supposed to do for her.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a tricky line that you walk. But like, how do you raise your daughter to be Superwoman? Is that even possible? If you want to be a great father.
Ooh. It's a double-edged sword. And it's almost like crawling and teaching her as she go. Like, it's a transitional period, right? It's where you got to give her a little bit at a time to how you would want her to be as far as Superwoman.
Yeah.
Right? You can't throw it all at her because you don't want to give her. That's just like with anything with younger children, right? They'll stray away from whatever you hand them too much of, right? And people don't understand that. So you give them a little bit at a time. You plant that seed, right? You plant that seed and watching it grow. And at that point, you just guiding. You're just guiding as a father, as a real man. You just guiding at that point because what's in the divine is going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be instilled in her because it takes a village to raise a child.
For sure.
Right? So it's going to be instilled, dog. So you just guide.
Hey, shout out my dog EJ, man. No, that's real, because it gets tough, because as a father, you want to give your especially your little girl. If you're raising a son, it's like, man, get out there, man. Watch out.
You're right.
When you're raising a little girl, it's a little different. Obviously, for me, I don't have children yet, but I do have nieces.
Right.
And being around my nieces, it's almost like, bro, you try to protect them from everything.
You can't do that.
You know what I'm saying? But with my nephews, it's like, all right, bro. And things I'm watching you, I know you about to fall. I know you gonna bump your head, but I'm gonna let you learn.
Right.
But with the little girls, it's different.
Gotta treat them the same way. So that's how they learn.
Lord help you.
You can't. You're gonna be a crutch.
No, and that's facts.
Be a crutch.
Being a crutch. I think based on like how society is today, as far as dating and relationships and things of that nature, I feel like a lot of parents became crutches for their kids. Not just women, men included.
Yep.
A lot of men don't know how to be men.
That's crazy.
A lot of men is out here messing up the game. See, that's enough on the women. We talk about the dudes.
Yeah.
A lot of the dudes is messing up the game.
Holding us accountable.
Yep. Putting us in positions that is not like this is not realistic, bro. They're painting this picture of a man in social media and mass media. plays a huge role in promoting this activity. But a lot of the activity that's deemed manly is not manly.
It's not.
This is not what it is to be masculine.
It's perfection. It's perfection.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we're not created to be perfect.
tricking is not being a man.
Not at all.
You're a lame. You're a lame that stumbled across money.
Oh boy.
Growing up, how'd you get into football, bro?
Well, me and my cousin Raheem, shout out to Raheem, right?
Tiggy was good, man.
Yeah. We tried a thing, right? Because I was a late bloomer. I started off, tried to get in with PPO, overweight. Then that's when I learned about, the unlimited pound. I'm just like, what is that? And look, I'm not even the age group for that. I'm out there playing offensive line. I'm godly. Yeah. So I'm out there trying to do something, knowing that this is fun because it's different than playing street ball. You out there with your friends, throwing the ball around in the street and catching the ball. So you think that's what you want to do, So that's the route I took. I was like, all right, let me try it out realistically. Let me go see if I can get on one of these teams and try it out. Believe it or not, I wanted to quit.
Why'd you want to quit?
That thing was tough. It was a lot of work.
It was running you over.
No.
Don't cap, bro.
I was on the offensive line.
Don't lie to me. What you mean you was on offensive? So the D line was smacking you.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work?
Yeah.
We kids. What kind of work was you doing?
Hey,
the only thing that's a lot of work as
sled. Pushing that sled in
matter of fact, you said you was at PPO?
Yes.
Oh, so y'all had money.
Yeah. We had boosters.
Yeah, all right.
Different things.
Where we played at, hey man, shout out South Florida Hurricanes, you feel me? West Day Seminoles. We ain't had money like that.
Ooh.
You was pushing the coach.
Pushing the coach.
The coach was acting like a sled.
Oh no.
We weren't pushing no sled. Well, you trip, ain't no money.
Hey,
what?
Shout out to PPO again. You had the equipment, okay?
Listen, PPO had it all. They had the uniforms and all.
Yes,
I already know it.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man, that was a journey. Once I started there, there's a story it's gonna take me to. It's gonna take me to a story, right? Why I went full-fledged with football. When I went out for PPO, I had a moment where, like I said, it was a lot of work. Wanted to quit. Somebody in my corner, my dad, right, told me that I wasn't going to be certain things, right? I mean, we're going to keep it PG.
Okay,
right? We're gonna keep it PG.
Okay.
And growing up with that superwoman in your corner, growing up with that superwoman in your corner telling you, don't listen to that. You got this. If this is what you really want to do, put it on your mind. You know what I'm saying? And this is somebody that I see action.
Yeah.
Doing the work. No complaints. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. So, long story short, I tried out for Cooper City, got on the team. The ride and the transition was a little long, coming from Miami.
I was about to say,
yeah.
How in the world did you end up at Cooper City, bro?
Listen.
See, you lucky I'm older, because if I was young, I would have clowned you. Playing at Cooper City. Man, them boy don't play no ball over there in Cooper City, man.
That's when them boys won.
Won what? The AYFL?
Yeah. Okay.
We went, man, we were playing in the, if you ain't playing the Extreme League or the Loot League, that junk trash.
Hey, we were pressure. We were fresh up that road. Raheem, you better tell him. We were fresh up that road. Right. So, fast forward, we go from Cooper City, basically being basically a practice bag or whatever, practice dummy, however you want to call it, because of the transition, because I couldn't make it to the games or whatever. But I knew from that moment, I was like, you know what? This gave me humility. At that time, at a young age, I'm learning humility, right? And it put me to a point where it's like, all right, I got to make something of myself.
Yeah.
Because Mom Duke's really believing in me. She's putting in the time and effort, whatever she have. Me not knowing that, what she was doing, it was setting me up for later on, right? Because it was one of those moments where, yes, she's going out of her way to take me to practice. This drive is from Cara City to Cooper City.
Facts.
Only so many practices I could make.
Yeah.
Even the games, I couldn't make it if Mom Dukes wasn't taking me, So
sure.
That taught me humility. That taught me to understand that, take everything with a little grain of salt. You building that them building blocks, you know, every step at a time, each step at a time, you working, you know. So that leads me to going to Miami Norland Senior High. Shout out to the Vikings, right?
Yeah, all right.
Right? You know how this going to go, right?
Yeah, okay.
9th grade year, hey, I fell in love with the process.
Yeah.
Fell in love with the process. I had amazing people around me. I had amazing coaches. Coach Dunn, Coach Greg. I had amazing people, man. And they were also my supporting cast of learning how to become a young man at that point, you know, throughout all the smoked out sessions, us getting dogged out, fingertip push-ups. Hey, all of it made me who I am today, you know. So I really appreciate those guys on that end. So that was my football journey, man, and then everything from there on was up. You know?
Yeah.
Everything,
Going from New Orleans to American Heritage.
Yeah. Ooh. Transition.
Going from the inner city to privilege.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Ooh. I felt like I wasn't. I felt like I wasn't a part of the school. I felt like I was there just to play my part, right? Play this role as this football player. And that's it. Like, I felt like I wasn't sociable, you know, with the other kids that was around. I felt like I didn't know what the difference was from the academy side and the heritage side, for those that know, right? No, we was
Not
split
everybody
up,
knows.
right?
Not everybody
right?
knows. It's two different sides.
One side realized that there was a taco in the bag, and the other side realized there was a real deal cafeteria down the hallway, right? So listen, trust me, it was a transition.
No, but so,
It was
man.
a real transition, brother.
Yeah.
But it made me understand the business aspect of things, right? At an early age, I'm not here to play. Mom and dad work in the field. They doing baseball. They cleaning up. They doing all these different things for my education,
Right.
for the betterment of me
Yeah.
being there. You know what I'm saying? So I can't jack this off.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I realized then I had to really put my mind to it. Like, this is what I'm gonna do to be able to get a free education later on.
For sure.
You know?
Tennessee State.
Yes, sir.
Tennessee
HBCU.
State. HBCU. How was it going to HBCU? I always tell people, listen, bro, if I would have went to HBCU, I'd probably be like Boosie right now.
Possibly.
Thank God I didn't go.
Possibly.
But how was it going
You know, we had a lot of classmates that went to FAMU, right?
listen, that's the thing. I always say, bro, if I did go to an HBCU,
Yeah.
I probably would have ended up at FAM.
Oh, Lord. You'd have been back home.
Back home doing what? I mean, why?
You'd have been working.
Why?
You'd have left FAMU.
Why would I left?
That's party time.
But it ain't about partying,
You
bro.
say that now. That's all you got up there. It's Tallahassee.
Listen, I know about Tally.
Oh, okay.
I know about Tally.
You travel.
You
travel.
I'm a traveling man.
That's why.
But what I'm saying is, like, if I would have went to HB, I probably would have ended up. I feel like I would have ended up at FAM, or I don't know what it is about Louisiana. I always was like, man, I love to go to Southern University.
that Southern feeling.
For sure.
The
For
hospitality
sure, for
is
sure.
crazy.
But shout out TSU, man.
Yes,
I fought with Tennessee State.
Yes, sir.
Man. Shout out Roadside, by the way.
Big blue.
But yeah, so HBCU, how was that, man? How was that experience?
Most colleges they create this blanket, right, from the real world, but Tennessee State allowed you to experience what it was like to go through financial problems, right?
Ooh.
Go through the plumbing ain't working correctly. Go through, you know, when you gonna get your next meal, you know, how you gonna get it. You know, it taught you a lot of things along the way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories that comes out of that college, man.
Give me one.
During the winter,
Okay.
no hot water. No hot water. What are you doing? Water is freezing cold, and you got somebody like me coming from South Florida that attends this school, and this is my first time ever experiencing that.
Right.
There's no way of doing anything. You got to boil water out of your microwave,
Yeah.
out of whatever to make sure you bring a bottle to the shower. So, and it's a community shower at this point.
Right.
Because you're a freshman. You ain't in one of these dorms where you got your own shower. Community shower, you in there pouring warm water. Hey, you pour warm water on your head trying
Okay,
to
let me
survive.
And now that you mentioned that, obviously, as a law enforcement officer,
Yes, sir.
you know, for me, I find revelation in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that was God showing you, like, bro, listen, the plan that I got for you is a little bit off of what you got planned? Obviously, at that moment, you think NFL. God's like, bro, you about to be in law enforcement. You don't even know it. But right now, I'm showing you what these people go through, sitting in these correctional facilities, just so you can understand. Treat them with dignity and respect, because this is what they go through. Is that obviously at the time you weren't thinking it? Have you thought about that now?
Yeah, you brought it to light. I never looked at it like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. And thinking about it now, like that from the stories I hear that's coming out of the CO, you know, the correction department and stuff like that. Yeah, they living like that.
Yeah,
you know, it's hard.
So I really feel like God was showing you something just so you could understand what it is you're about to be dealing with.
Right. That's just like when we come out of the academy, right? They tase us with what we gonna be wearing, because it's in purpose of knowing what it feels like to get tased. So if this bad guy or this criminal get this taser, you know what possibly
he's going through.
Right. Or you know what, if it's a weapon of opportunity.
Because if it fall off of you and he snatch
correct, and you know what it feel like to take that ride. Okay, so yeah, man. It definitely, now that you put it in hindsight, it definitely brings it to the forefront. Like, hey, this is what I was preparing you for, and this is what you're gonna be doing. Hey, that's
you feel
crazy.
me?
That's crazy.
Don't, as you speaking, I'm like, bro, God, because as you're speaking, to me, it sounded like you was in prison.
Yeah,
like you was doing the bid. But all I can think is, bro, God was literally showing you what He had planned. Like, bro, this is where you going. Because you don't even realize it might have been something that you was doing as a child that literally fit the perfect police officer, where you can make a difference in the community.
Right.
But you want to play ball, which is great. God's like, bro, go ahead, do your thing.
Have fun.
Have fun. But I need you to go change these lives of these kids in these communities. Obviously, in 2020, it was a very trying time in not just the Department of Corrections, but in just with the police force. But God seen something in you that He needed that in the communities. So, coming out of HBCU, obviously NFL dreams. When things didn't go as planned, what was the emotions that you went through?
My daughter helped me navigate those emotions, right? And the emotions were, I'm not going to chase this ghost, because I've seen a lot of my fellow teammates chasing that ghost. You know what I'm saying? From arena football to them boys going all out. And from the back end, I'm learning that them boys got to pay out of pocket for their insurance.
For sure.
And I'm just like, man, I can't take that risk. I got a little one coming on. She coming on her way. She on her way, you feel me? So I got to make something shake.
Yeah.
So with that being said, that was plan B, because that's what I got my degree in. Yeah. And I had an aunt that was at Miami-Dade. She was guiding me along the way as well through my transition. So, yeah, man. So that's really where it came from. I just realized that I can't continue chasing football. You know, it hurt because that's my first love.
For sure.
My first love, like anybody else. You know, something that I build a brotherhood on. You know, I'm big on brotherhood. Big. So that was my first, I guess, stench of being with a brotherhood, you know, that you do everything together. Y'all eat together, y'all go out together, y'all, you know, whatever.
Yep. When
you need a shoulder to lean on, we here for each other, you know. So that's what it was.
For sure. Okay, and, you know, obviously with the transition, you said you had an aunt that worked for Miami-Dade?
Yeah.
What was she? She was a police officer?
Yes, sir.
And how long has she been? How long was she a police officer up to that date?
Oof, she was on a few years. She was on a few years at that point when I got out of school. She was on a few years. She was on the back end. She was in the courts.
Okay.
Yeah, she got off the road at that point.
I'm sorry. Damn. Yeah. This just dawned on me.
What's up?
Let's rewind. Tennessee State. Let's rewind. Travis Ward.
Best in the nation.
I'm the best in the nation. I was spin moving, shaking
the
whole team.
Shout out to two.
Hey,
RIP man.
Rest in peace, brother. Did you get a chance to play with him?
For sure.
How was he?
Beast.
Yeah.
Real deal.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
Ooh.
Every bit of it. Hey, it's just that bookwork. But that part of it, it wasn't
him.
It wasn't him. He was a football player, talented, super talented.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Bet on himself every time.
Hey, man, for those who don't know who we're talking about, you must live under a rock. Because ain't no red shirt in me. I got this on because it's camp day.
I'm telling you.
Go on YouTube. Type in Travis
Bluestein.
Wood and you let me know who it is. Larry, hey, Larry, you my boy, Coach Larry. I'm the best in the nation. Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you say he was a dog.
He was a dog.
Obviously, because he was one of the top running backs in Broward County, if not the country.
Yes, sir.
And things to see things fall out how they did, man. It's like we say, bro. Florida is the football state. I don't care what all the other states talking about.
Yeah,
we really like that here.
yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So
year round,
man. Rest easy, my boy. Love, man.
love.
But yeah. So you say your auntie was working work for Miami-Dade.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get into law enforcement right away, or what was that? Was there something in between football and law enforcement?
Okay, so I still had the itch for football.
Mm-hmm.
Got my job opportunity at Miami Beach Senior High. Shout out to the High Tide. So that was a transition.
Ocho went to Miami Beach.
Yes, sir.
That's the only person I know with the Miami Beach.
Only person, right?
I don't know how he ended up there. He from the city.
Man,
I don't know what's going on.
that's a story.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, got a job opportunity at Miami Beach Senior High as a defensive line coach. Bread and butter, Kids were really willing to work despite the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the talent, they were really, really willing to work, put in the work. And it showed itself. It produced. I had one of the top defensive lines in Dade that year. But, of course, where we were located, not much talent come through there.
Right, absolutely. So ain't too many college coaches coming through there to recruit out of Miami, yeah.
Correct. It's all about who you know at that point.
For sure.
When you don't have it, something like the West or Central that's known.
Yeah.
So you got to do what you got. So that's what it was. I had that period of time where I did the coaching for a season. Then I was balancing the being a security guard, just to make ends meet, at the time.
For sure.
Just coming back home, trying to settle in. And that's when my lovely daughter came about. Had to make the transition. Had to go get me a career. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the private sector, you make money. Don't get it twisted.
No, facts.
But you got to have job security.
Yeah.
Job security is number one. Trust me. You don't want to go through something like the pandemic, where a lot of people was laid off. You know what I'm saying? You want to be on job security.
And then so from coaching to being a security, at what like in after being a security and you had your daughter, when you decided to go become an officer, take us through that process. What's that process like for kids who may at some point find themselves in that same position?
Right.
What should they expect?
Eesh.
Like, what is the application process like? What is the step-by-step?
Yeah, so it's an application process. Everything is based off of 10th grade reading level. So, you have to have your high school diploma for most departments. There are some departments that require a bachelor's, but for most departments, you have to have the high school diploma.
Which departments require a bachelor's?
For one, they just took it away, but Miami Beach used to require it. Not sure what their reasoning or rhyme or reason was for it, but I knew they required it for one. They also follow it up with a writing test too. So, yeah.
So every department has their own It's not universal. It's based on departments.
Yeah, everybody has their own standards.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah. So you just gotta be versatile for one. You gotta have the ability to adjust and adapt, right? As you go through the process, it's gonna be tedious. It requires patience. The application is super long, right? And that's just to get you out of the game. Because if you really don't have it in your heart to do this career, that's gonna turn you off.
Yeah, got you. Okay.
'Cause it requires you to find a lot of paperwork. You know what I'm saying? From your driving history to your work history, 10 years plus. And you got to go find these contacts. from these jobs that you
Yeah.
might have just walked off of. You didn't properly leave the job. You didn't give them a 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
You know, they hold all that against you. So it's a rigorous process, but if your heart is in it, you can do it.
Okay. So now, and you get into it, man. What was some of the challenges that you faced while going through this process? In your opinion, everybody has their own challenges that they face. Was like what challenge? What throughout this process was the most challenging for you? Was it when you got tased? Did you scream when you got tased in your back?
Oh yeah.
During
Oh yeah. In the academy, it was different because it was different from the department. I got tased twice.
You got tased twice?
Yeah, twice.
Did you pee on yourself?
No, negative.
Don't lie, bro. Don't cap.
Nah, I can't do that.
I'm just saying. I be seeing a lot of people.
Yeah, because they
get
don't
tased
know.
and they pee on themselves.
It's unexpected, right? And they don't know what to expect, and they don't know what happens when you get tased. So they didn't know to go use the bathroom before they get tased. So, yeah,
So you
I knew.
You
I knew I had it. I had it firsthand
So you
in
did not
the
take
academy,
them?
so I knew what to
Okay.
expect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't gonna get me.
okay? But like, y'all go through that little gas thing too?
Yeah, taser, pepper spray. Sorry, yeah,
The pepper spray thing,
spray.
and then you got to run and like
You gotta
take down a dummy.
Yeah, you punch in a bag. They trying to simulate you in a combative
Situation. Yeah.
incident
Yep.
or whatever the case may be. So they do that just to see your resilience, right? Because your vision is out of there.
Right, facts.
You fighting the feeling of this thing burning. It's feeling like rock or sandpaper under your eyes. You're trying to blink to see what you're fighting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're testing your resilience.
Is it realistic? Do you believe it's realistic
To a certain extent.
to a certain extent?
Yeah.
Because it's like in this position, I know I'm being tested, but I feel like in a battlefield, listen, I ain't worrying about this mace. I'm worrying about this person trying to do something to me. So I feel like in a real situation, you might do better as opposed to what you're doing during the test,
Yeah, but it comes back to your fight or flight.
right?
So
You fight or flight.
You may who me?
Yeah.
I'm showing up every time.
Oh, so you out of the window.
Oh,
You like
yeah, I'm
you like-
in there
you
head
like
first.
You like the window seat. You like to face your problems head on.
Got to.
Hey,
Too many people depend on me.
you out of the window. No, all right. All right, that's a bit. That's a bit. So being from the inner city, obviously there is a disconnect between inner city youth and adults in law enforcement. Why do you think that problem is? Is it because of snitch culture? Is it because of drill culture? Keeping it real? Yeah. Well, like, what in your opinion, based on what you face on a day-to-day basis, what is the disconnect?
Man, it starts on social media. It starts from that to what their mom or their dad due to their lack of knowledge. It starts from those main things, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, because kids are nowadays, this generation, for some reason, it's very weird to me that they're sponges and they take on all the bad stuff. Right? They don't know how to filter. There's no filter there that's telling them, hey, you should do this or do that. So when it comes down to the disconnect between law enforcement officers and the inner city kid or the inner city adult, it comes back to what they saw or what they hear, you know, what they're viewing, you know, as far as these music videos.
Okay,
And so,
for those people who listen to, we grew up listening to Boosie from the South, right?
right.
For those people who listen to Boosie, Boosie said, my daddy taught me all my life to hate a cop. So all my mother effing life, I hated cops. What comes to mind when you hear that? Because it touches on what you talk about growing up and what their parents are teaching them based on, you know, miseducation or just a little bit of ignorance where they're not even worrying about what's going on as far as law enforcement. How do you feel when you hear that statement?
There's a lack of.
Yeah.
There's a lack of, because in that statement rings true, because that's how a lot of people were taught, right? And then it comes back to when you're sleeping at 3 or 4 in the morning and you hear a bump in the night, and you calling us. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
How does that work?
I be thinking that. I be like, bro, everybody be sitting here talking about some, NWA, F the police.
Right.
But when something happen, who you call?
Who you call?
Not Ghostbusters.
Not at all.
You ain't call the Ghostbusters, you
Not
call
at
the
all.
police.
Not at all.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So it's like, bro, where like, and like you said with rap music, so especially with in today's time, social media, painting this picture of not just police officers, but just law enforcement in general. Whether you're a police officer, a corrections officer, a parole officer, whatever you are, Homeland Security, whatever. It's like, bro, they're already painting you in a negative light.
Yeah.
So, in what ways do you see that we can bridge this gap so people can understand? Like, bro, I'm on your side. Like, what initiatives are implemented from these police departments that are trying to help, I guess you can say, the inner city kids or any community in general?
There's multiple departments that have like community-oriented policing, just a specialized unit for that. And those people are helping out with as far as your light bill, making sure you're on top of that, how you live in the source, how you living, because they do food drives, you know, stuff like that. Making sure you well taken care of, making sure you know how to sign up for Medicare, Medicaid, you know, stuff like that. Those units are real pivotal with that part of things, you know. So people, I feel like when they fall short of those things and feel like police ain't doing nothing, it's because they don't know the lack of information, you know.
Facts.
They haven't tried to reach out to the proper channels. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where it comes from. The other initiative that they have to bridge that gap is Miami-Dade. They're known for it, having a donut with a cop, right? It's a stereotype thing, right? But it's actually you having a chance to sit down with a cop that works your area to have a real conversation. To what are the issues that's going on in this area? What would you like for me to do? It's your time to have that platform or that floor to say, you know, all right, you live over here? All right, what's the issue? What's the concern that's going on over there? You know, it's not really literally, it may take place in a Dunkin' Donuts or it may take place in a Starbucks, but the bigger picture is you having that opportunity to actually talk to me, you know, despite what I do. You know what I'm saying? It's just having a human
We're humans,
your human conversation, you know. So there's initiatives there where, you know, also Miami Gardens good for it, where they do the jazz in the gardens and stuff like that. Oh yeah,
for sure.
Police officers are walking around 24 throughout the whole event.
Shout out to my LVs and number pro fights.
Yeah, shout out to them. They're real cool. Yes, they walking around the whole event talking to people. Yeah, I ain't never seen nothing like that.
Okay, so let me speak from a pedestrian standpoint. There is a idea that we think that when police officers are doing this, they're trying to butter you up. So when it comes time to investigate, they're trying to get information out of you. Right. How does that sit with the police officer, or how does that sit with what y'all trying to do in the community?
Yeah, you watch too many movies.
Okay.
That's what you're doing. You're watching too many movies. that ain't what it is. Yeah. It's not what it is. We're human. Despite the badge and the gun, we're human. Okay? So people tend to forget that. We make mistakes just like you make mistakes. You see it all the time. They try to put us on a real anytime we make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? So when we're in that state or in that situation where we're trying to bridge this gap or have a realistic conversation with you, it's from the heart. You know, because that's what we are. We're not robots. We're not these Uncle Toms that you may call us. Yeah. Or these pigs. No, we're not that. We're not that. We bleed the same way you do. We put on our pants the same way you do.
Facts. You sound like you talking about like you motivating the football team to go out for the second half after they've been down 35-7 at half. No, that's real talk, man. That's real talk. The thing is, it's so hard for a lot of black youth. I got to speak on black youth. It's hard for black youth to understand that. That you guys are on their side, because there are, unfortunately, a lot of police officers who do patrol areas that they don't even understand, which leads to a situation where there are police officers who do things that are just unjustifiable, right? For me, as from personal experience, the first time I ever dealt with police brutality, and it wasn't physical brutality, it was verbal brutality. I was 10.
Right.
And I'm by myself. I'm walking from Little League practice. I'm walking home. I'm literally right in front of my apartment. And I was verbally abused. I remember that to this day. And it's just like, what would make you as a grown man abuse, like verbally talk to a young kid that's clearly this is a child.
Right.
What would make you talk to him like that?
Right.
So that creates that disconnect with those bad cops, which brings me to this next thing, corruption within law enforcement.
Right.
Obviously, we don't even got to talk details because it is what it is.
Yep.
But like, is there specific police officers within the departments or within the force who try to combat this stuff?
Of course. Me myself took on a role recently of being a field training officer to correct the wrongs, you know what I'm saying, of the newly incoming officers. So I just feel like you can't sit by or just be a viewer of the bad apples that chose this career because of whatever, you know, whatever aims they had or whatever goals they had to achieve, right? Due to whoever don't have a voice, right? The community. So you have to do your best to fit in when you can to correct those things and weed those bad apples out, because in everything there's bad apples, right? So we can't just sit here and allow that to happen. If you feel some type of way, do something about it. Don't just be a complainer. Don't say, oh, he shouldn't be doing that. Step in and do something about it. You have the ability and the authority to do so.
Facts. Have you ever been in a position where you had to snatch somebody up like, yo, you tripping? We don't do that on the force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Okay.
It happens. We're human again.
Do you feel like a lot of the people that do a lot of the messed up stuff are people who have a chip on their shoulder, a negative chip on their shoulder, where it's like they grew up either being bullied or just wasn't the coolest cat on the block, and they get like you said, a gun and a badge, and they feel like a superhuman, and then they abuse their authority. Do you feel like that happens often?
It happens. It happens. Feel like Power Rangers at some point, right? Yeah. And like I said, you got to be that guiding light to say, hey, don't do that. We're not doing that. Not while I'm here. Not while I'm on the scene, right? Because there's many situations that had happened in the past that if there was an officer on that scene to say, hey, we're not doing that, a lot of things wouldn't happen.
Wouldn't happen.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I look at that situation. Like, you can do something. Don't just be a witness.
Okay. Now, to that young kid who might have dealt with police brutality or who doesn't feel safe when police come around, because unfortunately, you as a police officer, you've dealt with police officers abusing their authority. When we leaving the basketball game,
right?
We was juniors in high school.
Yeah,
leaving the basketball game, we
crazy
slammed.
Crazy thing is, I had to speak on that during my interview process.
Really?
Getting hired, they asked, have you ever been in contact with police?
And would you tell them?
Yeah. And leaving a basketball game.
They told you to tell the story?
Yeah.
All right, so tell the story.
The story was leaving a basketball game from Plantation, Florida, leaving Heritage in a tinted Toyota Camry, old school.
Yoda.
Right. That part. And lo and behold, we get pulled over. And now they have us all sitting on the curb like we criminals, checking our cars because we don't know our rights at the time. We're high school students coming from a basketball game, and they're trying to figure out what are we doing in that area. Man, that's tough. That's tough. And to come years later down the road, and look what I joined.
Facts.
It was on my mind.
Facts.
I had to figure it out.
And does that give you an urge to make sure that kids, for one, know their rights, for two, you don't do that. You don't do that same thing to a child, which can be traumatizing.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It's one of those things where you have to take your step back and look at how this will affect someone down the line.
Long
you know
term,
what I'm saying?
sure.
Because a lot of us don't. It'd be a split of emotion where we take action and don't think about the repercussions after the fact. You know, so when it comes to that, it's like you got to take that step. You got to breathe in between that decision because you don't know how impactful this is going to be.
Yeah.
This might be from a criminal to somebody that want to be a police officer eventually. You know what I'm saying? So everything matters. All the decisions we make matter.
Absolutely.
You know, so
no, that's deep, man. Because I remember that night like it was yesterday.
I'm telling you,
I'm just like, dude,
very vivid.
Like, what the heck?
For what?
Like we just come from the basketball game, bro. This dude got us sitting out here. I'm like, bro, only thing I kept thinking, bro, that night, only thing I kept thinking was if the police drive past, if my mama drive past here, bro, the level of trouble I'm gonna be in.
Right.
I'm literally looking at the dude like, bro, if you gonna take it to jail, bro, take it to jail, bro. Yeah. I don't want to be sitting out here, my mom drive by and see me out here.
You worried about your mom.
I'm worried about my old girl. Go ahead and take her to jail, bro. I don't want my mom to drive past here and see me like this because she is gonna be a problem.
Yeah, of course, automatic.
What? Man, my mom don't play that, boy. Yeah. This is going to take me to jail. Let's get it over with. Nah, man. So, okay. So, obviously, when we talk about initiative that's been going on for years in our inner city communities is the Police Athletic League.
Yeah.
Is the PAL still the same?
Nah, man. Unfortunately, right? And it's just me starting to rub elbow with certain people, being in the career that I am in. I just don't believe that it's as of important as it used to be, right? And, certain local government assistants or whoever, the council people that may be in that area may have their own goals or their own, admirations of doing certain things in the city that doesn't allocate with the PAL program, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So the funding isn't there. So then you have these rinky-dink PAL centers that's trying to keep it alive, and they have no real equipment. They're still trying to have the kids in these high-risk kids, right, in this program, because that's essentially what it was created for, right? High-risk kids.
Got you.
Those kids that are struggling in school, skipping school, possibly could be gang-related, stuff like that. It was for those kids. It was geared towards those kids, but it turned into an after-school care type of thing,
right?
So with that being said, it's just like when are we going to start reaching out to that? That's our future. We have to reach out back. We got to reach back to them.
Facts.
That's the only way we're going to save them, because if we don't, we're going to allow them to continue to drift down the path where we don't know what they're doing. At least we know for these hours that they're in this PAL center, we know that they're doing X, Y, or Z.
Exactly.
Right? Then they're going home, and a lot of parents would say, yeah, you did me a favor. He's tired. He's not really trying to go outside and be with his friends,
and that's
hang
all
out.
Worried about.
And that's what you're worried about, right?
Crazy.
That idle mind, gets you in trouble every time, man.
No, absolutely, man. So when you talk about a lot of these kids that may be in gangs, it's based on my understanding growing up down here, we don't really got gangs. We got neighborhoods. Where you from? I'm from over here. As a police officer, is there gangs around? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. Those neighborhoods, that's what they run as.
So it's really the neighborhoods, but they consider themselves.
Yes, sir.
Like, is there like Bloods and Crips?
We have a few.
I never thought. Well, and based on obviously like with men who's been incarcerated, there's Bloods and there's. I haven't heard much about Crips, but I've heard about Bloods and the Zoes and the stuff like that.
Right.
But I never knew in our neighborhoods we had gangs.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
And but is that a big issue?
No.
It's not a big thing.
Not as it used to be.
Okay.
It's slowed down.
Got you. Okay. I guess we already touched on it. Fatherhood. How was that, man? How do you enjoy that?
Man, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. When those describe it as you putting on a superhero outfit, right? When you have your first child, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's that feeling. Those moments in the hospital holding your child, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's something flipped like a switch. Like, it's game time.
It just got real.
It just got real. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. For better words. That's exactly what it is, brother. So fatherhood is one of those things where you either ready or you better get ready, right?
It's either you're ready or it's here. Like, it's here. What do you
Nah,
get ready? You can't get ready. It's here.
So what I mean by getting ready, right, is you have that period where they don't require much.
Facts. They just,
right?
Yeah.
They young, they cute, they making all the noise, they don't understand time, none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get to the point where they start asking for people, where's my dad?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my mom? You know, you better be ready by that time.
Yeah.
Because now you're doing them a disservice for not showing up.
Facts. Okay.
So,
where's my mom? Where's my dad?
Yeah.
How's co-parenting?
Ooh.
Unfortunately, in the world that we live in today, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of co-parenting going on.
It's high.
Growing up in the environments that we grew up in,
Mm-hmm.
being a baby mama or being a baby daddy, it's a norm.
Yep.
To be honest, and some people, they might beat me up. I can care less.
I got you.
But growing up in the communities that we grew up in, I
Mm-hmm.
value being a father more than I value being a husband. That's just where we grew up because we've seen so many single mothers and single fathers. We were raised by single mothers and single fathers.
Right.
So being a father is more important to me than being a husband.
Right.
So co-parenting, how does that work for you and how do you make it work?
For a while I had a rough stench, man. I had to figure it out like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And mine was from state to state, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, thousands of miles different. Jeez. Yeah, you gotta cut that check at some point, right? So, yeah, man. My biggest advice for co-parenting is don't try to change that person. You knew them for who they were when you were having that fun night or having that fun time. You know what I'm saying? So don't expect them to change over the years, especially if they're not doing the work on the back end.
Dog,
you know what I'm saying?
Listen, you touched on something so important that a lot of people kind of just let go over their heads. The thought of changing somebody, you would never change somebody. People are who they are. Mm-hmm. When you meet somebody, and I got this from a book. It's a book called The Superior Man, or am I misquoting this? It's some of The Superior Man,
mm-hmm.
and it talks about expectations and how you assume somebody's going to become. When you meet somebody, the person that they are today, if you like that person, keep rolling. If you don't mess with that person, let it go. Stop thinking you're going to change somebody. They are who they are. And the moment that you think you can change somebody, that's the reason why the divorce rate in America is so high. Because people think that they could change somebody. For us as black men growing up in black communities, a lot of the black men who raised us told us, boy, get your girl, boy. Hey, listen, man, mold her into who you want her to be. Sir, you've been divorced 4 times. And it's a reason.
And he's still outside.
I'm telling you this dumbass advice. But you're not finna change nobody. They are who they are.
Yeah.
So you got to accept people for who they are. So when you say that, bro, that's super important, man, because trying to change somebody, good luck.
It's not going to work.
All you could do is paint perspective. And hopefully that person grasp on to what you told them. Mm-hmm. They have to change for themselves.
Yeah.
You're not going to change them.
Not at all.
So that's deep, man. So, so in co-parenting, man, and you said it started off rocky. Where is it now?
It's to a point where I got to that mindset where there's certain things that happen to possibly trigger you, right? Because that does happen. You do get triggered because you got to remember this is a person that you once loved. This is a person that you once spent a long time with, right? So you got to understand they know your buttons. So you got to get to a space, a healthy space within yourself, either if that's through therapy or whatever you find, to understand that you can't allow them to control your emotions, and your response. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way you can keep this thing healthy.
Facts.
You got to ignore the BS, man. You got to ignore it. It's hard. Trust me, it's hard. But you got to ignore it.
Facts.
And remember, the main thing is the main thing.
Woo! Hey, shout out my boy T. Lee. Keep the main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. Shout out my boy T. Lee, man. That was episode number 2? Yo, shout out my boy T. Lee, man. Keep the main thing.
To. Yeah. That mean they doing something on here.
Yo, hey, listen, this table right here is on fire.
Yeah,
we bring nothing but knowledge and game and wisdom on this table right here.
Rolling right
now. So
now.
if you want to visit the table, this is a sidebar. It's like a commercial.
Yeah.
This conversation is brought to you by Visit the Table. If you want to visit the table with game and intelligence, just hit me in the DMs, or you could email me.
Yeah, however you like.
Oh no, real talk. All right, so you mentioned not allowing your partner to dictate your emotions and how you react to certain things. What advice would you give? Did you go to therapy?
Yes, I did.
How long were you in therapy?
Right now, I'm going on maybe 4 or 5 months.
Wait, you said right now. You still in therapy?
Yeah, I redid it. I started over because I feel like
she did a number on you.
Yeah. Listen, don't only go to therapy when things are bad. Go to therapy on almost like you getting your oil changed, okay, in your car.
Okay.
Therapy is used like that, okay? Don't think
that's
of therapy as, only when things are bad. Do you pray when only things are bad?
Amen.
Shouldn't.
Oh, amen. Jeez. Talk to him, DJ.
Yeah, so we in here. We in here. So
okay, that's what's up. So you still in therapy right now?
Yes, sir.
And would you recommend it?
Yes, sir.
For sure. Why?
It allows you to get a lot of the unseen things off your chest.
Mm-hmm.
All the environmental traumas, all the things that could be plaguing you from your childhood, actually. A lot of us don't realize that our childhood was very traumatizing, and we don't deal with it, and it shows its ugly head in different parts of our lives.
Facts.
Relationships, friendships, going from that to parenting, all that. So you got to nip it in the bud where you face it head on. You know what I'm saying? So
now, do you feel like based on going through trauma, not trauma, but therapy, do you feel like a lot of those traumas, aside from the fact that they obviously could have been avoided, should they be avoided?
Not at all.
You don't think they should be avoided? You think they're good? You think trauma is good?
Yeah, sometimes it builds character.
Ooh.
Builds character.
Mm-hmm.
What they say, pressure create diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay,
what I'm saying.
So now we on the same page.
Right.
Now that I got us on the same page, right? Because I believe the same thing. I feel like, bro, we discredit our parents. Obviously, for us coming from the islands, our parents come from the islands and raising us how they raised us, not because they know the things that we know, but because that's all they knew. Right. And it created the people that we see today. And I feel like a lot of people talk about trauma, and with the world that we live in today, there's a victim mentality where everybody want to play the victim. Oh, I went through this, and I went through that, and I went through this. But you don't understand how going through that shaped you to be the person that you are today.
Correct.
Raising a perfect child is not the best. It's honestly a disservice to your child.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? So, and this is just my own personal thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Me going through whatever I go through at million miles an hour in my brain.
Get them HG.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you said what?
Get them HG. Get them, you coming.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's just like, bro, the thing is we throw shots at our parents. Our parents did this, and why'd you put me through this, and why'd you do this, and da-da-da-da. Ma'am, you make $500,000 a year because you understand persistence and resilience because of the things that you went through as a child. Now, do I advocate for trauma? I wouldn't say that. But that's what makes you who you are. When you work out, how do you get stronger? Your muscles got to get torn. How do you build spiritually? Through experiences, going through messed up things. That's how you build.
Trials and tribulations.
Trials and tribulations. So what makes you think that trauma is any different? I feel like the world in today's society is creating a culture of victimization where everybody plays the victim. So how do you feel about that when it comes to therapy? Like, what are certain things you were taught in therapy that either combat that or agrees or sides with that?
Right. So what I'm learning in therapy is accountability is major. You got to take accountability, no matter who you are, what race, what gender, however you want to roll it. Got to take accountability. That's major. It starts with accountability. Once you go from there, you then go on to understanding what causes that to happen, whatever it is that the issue is, right? Whatever that triggers you. Because as this culture goes as well, this culture has a real issue with saying the words of being triggered.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like half of them don't really truly understand what triggered means.
What triggered means,
right?
Yeah.
They're just using it because it sounds nice.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get to getting with a professional that breaks it down to them, they'll understand that I'm actually acting like a victim here.
Mm-hmm.
Act like this person did something to me where it's really something that stems back to my childhood or stems back to something that I dealt with as an adolescent. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what I would say.
That's facts.
Accountability is major.
When you talk about accountability, man, unfortunately, our counterparts don't deal with accountability well. And that's okay, because that's why we're here. Mm-hmm. We're the ones that's supposed to deal with that. One thing I realized with dealing with people is a lot of the successful relationships that I see, oftentimes the man is kind of like, you know what, bro, I'm not finna pinpoint all the little stuff. Yeah, bro, let her have her way. It is what it is. Now, when it comes to a situation where I had to step in, I step in. But I'm not going to nitpick at every single thing.
Let me hold you, AG.
Talk to me.
So if we do that, right, if we don't nitpick or we complain or we don't bring things to the forefront, right, how are we benefiting our partners? Like, how are we helping them to grow?
How are we helping our partners to grow?
Without accountability.
100%. That goes back to the thought of changing somebody. When you decide that you want to nitpick on something, that's something that you feel like they can do better or they should do better. Mm-hmm. That doesn't necessarily mean that they feel like they should do it better or they could do it better. Mm-hmm. So it's almost one of them things where, do I accept this person for who they are, or do I change them for who I think they should be or they could be? So compromise, right? Every relationship, there's a level of compromising.
Right.
So it's like, man, you know, I hate this thing about this person. It bothers me. But do I let this little thing overshadow all the greatness that comes with this person? Nobody's perfect. So do I want to nitpick at this one little thing? Or do I just say, you know what, bro? With all the great things that this person does, I guess I just have to deal with this. Because there's certain things about yourself that they deal with.
Correct.
So it's like they look past some of this. They don't like the fact that you snore in your sleep and you be farting and doing all kind of craziness when you're sleeping, right?
Right.
So I just got to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit up here and try to build a perfect person. I got to just take my wins and my losses when they come.
Right.
So that's why I say it's certain things that you just don't nitpick. For me as a man, and this is my own personal thought. Mm-hmm. For me as a man, I feel like only time I would combat my significant other is when she comes at me as a man, when she comes at me as a father, when she comes at me as a husband. When I know that I'm doing the best that I can. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm fulfilling everything that she wants me to do. I'm doing the best. If I'm doing the best I can, there's nothing more I can do. And if it doesn't fit or suit what it is you want, only thing I can do is try to figure it out. And if I can't, you got to go make it happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm putting my best foot forward. This is the best that I got. This, and not even just the best that I got. This is the best that God gave me.
Right.
But it goes back to accountability. Am I looking myself in the mirror and saying, you know what, Mark, bro, you give me the best you got? And if the answer is no, then I got to tighten up.
Who are you to judge? Who are you to judge?
She got a point.
Yep.
I got to tighten up. But if I feel like I'm doing the best that I can with what I got, I'm doing the best that I can, period.
Right.
But like you said, accountability. When I look myself in the mirror, bro, listen, it's two people you can't lie to. You can lie to me. You can't lie to God. You can't lie to yourself.
Saying a lot.
You can sit here and try to lie to yourself. You can't lie to you. When you look yourself in that mirror, you know the truth, and God knows the truth. Everybody else, you can sit up there and lie. But it becomes dangerous when you start lying to yourself. So that's why I say nitpicking. Pick your battles, bro.
Yeah.
When they say happy, a lot of people don't like this saying, happy wife, happy life. People like, so what about my happiness? See, you worrying about the wrong things, champ. Because think about this, and I hate that women don't whoop me. Who nags the most in the house?
Oh, Lord.
Come on, man.
Oh, Lord.
Who's the one that always got something they want to talk about?
Oh, Lord.
I've done this in my own personal relationships. Within a 7-day week, I'm like, you know what? Everything she says, I'm going to agree. Everything she wants, I'm going to do. Anything, whatever it is, I'm going to do. Let me see if we can go 7 days without bickering about something. And fortunately for me, in my relationship, I didn't have somebody that bigger. She was very much respectful, very appreciative of stuff, just amazing woman.
Right.
But within 7 days,
Mm-hmm.
I think we got a day 6 maybe. Oh yeah, something ain't right. We have not argued, so we got to argue about something. And when I say argue, I don't mean like yelling and all that. It's just some type of disagreement has to take place.
That's something else too. I don't think we have the understanding of what the difference is between a healthy argument and just yelling at each other, right?
Bro, listen, that's that God knew I needed you on here because I mentioned this to somebody recently. I was like, bro, there is a such thing as healthy arguments.
Yes, sir.
Listen, excuse the way that I'm sitting here laying in this chair right now, but I need y'all to listen to what's being said. There is such thing as a healthy argument, bro.
Yes.
People, listen, I had somebody tell me, they want a peaceful relationship. A peaceful relationship? So you plan on dying alone?
Oh boy.
Man, you know what I asked them? You ever been in love? The most quiet person in the world gonna snap when they in love, bro. You clearly tell them you've never been in love.
Yep.
Bro, love, as they say, is a drug. Will make you do the most crazy, like, it'll make you do things you never thought in a million years you would do.
Very true.
So the thought that you about to have a peaceful relationship where there's just fun and smiles and blissful.
The honeymoon stage.
Come on, bro. That shit got to end.
Eventually.
That's the reason why the divorce rate is so high. And that's the reason why all these people who are attractive, accomplished, just great people find themselves in the position that they find themselves. Because they're trying to find this relationship that just doesn't, like, it's not realistic, bro.
Doesn't require work. I like to say that you have two people that's trying to come together in the eye of the beholder, right? And you got to understand that you both have different perspectives. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
You may be seeing the glass half empty. I may be seeing the glass half full.
As a man, you better be.
Right? So we sitting here trying to compromise. Of course, we're going to have disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the healthy argument comes in at. But if you feel like every time I bring something to the table that it's unhealthy, then we're never going to get through what we need to get through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people, a lot of women talk about a man being a leader. You so focused on, can you lead? The question is, can you follow? Following doesn't degrade you. Because to be honest with you, and I can only speak for me as a person, for me, I lean on my lady a lot.
Right.
Where it's like, man, sometimes her methods and her theories make way more sense than mine does. But as a man, see, this is the thing. Let me make this very clear. Let me put this iPad down.
It's getting serious.
And y'all listen to me as I say this, man. Listen, as a leader, leadership doesn't mean making the right decisions all the time. Leadership means making a decision and being able to deal with the consequences that come with that decision. As a leader, I'm gonna make a decision. Am I 100% sure on what the outcome is gonna be? No. But I know for me as a leader, I'm willing to deal with whatever happens with the decision that I made. That's what being a leader is. So stop making these people think that you got to make the perfect decision. You got to make the right decision. You got to make the best. Bro, I'm making a decision, period. And whatever comes from the decision that I made, I'm willing to deal with the consequences that come with the decision. If it's a decision that I made and it worked out for the best, great. And if it goes left, guess who got to stand in the paint and deal with that? Me, because I'm a leader. So stop being afraid to just make a decision. Make a decision. That's what leadership is. So, yeah, we out of time, my boy. We out of time.
You know how it is, go.
God. But listen, what I need you to do, man.
What's up?
I need you to speak to the young kids. You speak to the young cats, man, and tell them, for one, how much you love them. For two, how much law enforcement, good law enforcement. Right. And I say that because I'm on this side. You be a company man. It's all right.
However you want to swing.
How much law enforcement is really trying to help them. They want to see a difference in not only just their behavior. Like, bro, they don't listen. Police officers don't want to write reports and do all this paperwork. Like, bro, just do right. With this culture that we live in, is so much. Oh, stop snitching culture. Stop snitching culture been a culture since we was, you know what I'm saying, since we was young. But this whole snitching culture and ops and all this other stuff. Like, bro, if you doing nothing but positive things in this world, what do they have to snitch on? Only thing you gonna tell the world is that I'm out here making money. I'm chasing a bag. And if it's anything other than that, bro, stop doing it. So let them know what is, like, you know, what, obviously you've already talked about what you guys are implementing. But as a police officer, for you personally, you know, how you feel about them and what it is that you do in your personal day-to-day to ensure that they know that, and that any game you want to give them, what are certain things that you look for? What are certain things they should avoid? Certain vehicles they should avoid driving.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, little stuff like that.
It's a thing. Man, I just want to start off by saying that we appreciate the youth. We love the youth. You guys are our future. Remember that. We depend on you guys to keep everything afloat, absent flow, right? Keep everything steady. So, you know, in the essence of when it comes down to, you know, the things that you should be avoiding or the things that you shouldn't be doing, is it comes down to simple methods, man. Listen to your parents. They've been there, done that, right? Listen to your parents. Then this whole culture of wearing ski masks and black hoodies in 90-degree plus weather, you just you sticking out like a sore thumb, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what you're doing, and those are some of the things we do. It's called a casual encounter for a reason, right? And it doesn't take us to have something on you for us to have a regular conversation with you, but because of the lack of, you'll sit there and trip yourself up, right? So just be mindful of your attire, where you at, what time of night are you out, being a juvenile, being a underage person, right? These are things that you have to be more aware of, because it's just not that we're picking on you just for, you know, our sake, or just because we trying to reach some type of number or whatever. No, that's not the case. You standing out. You know, you standing out to us to where, okay, this plaza is closed. Why are you dressed in all black? Come on. We're human. If that's, I always say it, man, you know, common ain't common, right? So why are you here at this time of night? Do your parents know where you are? You just gotta take a step back with some of the things we do as, you know, as an adolescent, as a juvenile, you know. Cars to avoid, you know what it is. You see it on the rap videos. You see the Dodge Chargers. You see the Nissan Maximas, Nissan Altimas, tinted. You can't see in the car. What do you expect? What do you expect that's going to come from that, right? And, yeah, it looks cool for the moment. You getting clout. That's what a lot of people are chasing nowadays. You get clout for that. Yeah, you pull up to the high school or your near school yard with that car. Yeah, you may get a few cool points, but you're also attracting the wrong attention. Just saying.
Facts, man. And like I said, dog, DJ, bro, I appreciate you for coming through, my boy.
Always.
Yoda. Dropping words of knowledge and words of wisdom for the youth, man, and letting them know, bro, law enforcement is on y'all side, man. They on y'all side, and they want to see y'all do well, man. They want to build a better future for you guys. Obviously, even with your parents, when you do something wrong, sometimes your parents put you in timeout. It's the same thing. Sometimes when God see you tripping, He puts you in timeout. And for law enforcement who truly have a hand in wanting to really want to see you do better, man, they got to do what they got to do to ensure that your behavior changes. And it's all out of love. As he showed you today, it's all out of love, man. So y'all understand that he has y'all best interest at heart, And if you see my boy stop you, it's all out of love. He ain't writing you to take it on some hating stuff.
Nah,
He want to see you do better.
never personal.
Never personal, man. He want to see you do better. As always, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's another episode of the Island Winner Podcast. Today's conversation was very informative. Like I said before, it was a bridge building conversation where we're bridging that gap between the inner city and youth, because there are thousands to tell you it couldn't be done. There are thousands to prophecy failure. There are thousands to tell you the dangers that wait to assail you, but just buckle in with a trace of a grin. Just put on your coat. Just go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle that thing that couldn't be done. And you'll do it. And as always, with love.